What's happening, guys? I'm Kobe Chow and here with Craig McCoy, and welcome to our latest Tuesday training, where every week we bring to you a live training from lead gen and AI all the way to business planning and goal setting.
You have the new version and the old version. We collaborate to make it awesome.
If you want to join and jump on the next Tuesday training, join our school platform below. It's completely free. Click the link below, and we'll see you there. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Thank you guys for jumping on. Great. Love it.
Happy to be here. Sorry.
All right, let's jump right into it. Let's jump into it, Tim.
All right. Since I'm so happy to be here, I'll just jump right into it. What's going on today? Well, the mortgage market is better than last week. So Bill gave bad news last week. That's why I took the day off, because I figured Bill can deliver all the crappy news. Today we've had 3 good days of improvement. In fact, even today, right before I hopped on this call, I had to redo my rates because we had to reprice for the better. The bond market improved. Oil prices doing good. Really, what's kind of going on is hopefully they're optimistic about this Iran thing maybe coming to an end again. And where rates are today, conventional 30-year fixed loan at no points is at 6 3/4, and at about a point cost now about 6 3/8, maybe 6 1/4. It's just kind of in between. Going over to government loans, FHA, VA, no points is at 6 1/4, and about a 1 point cost is at 5.875. So the only thing going on later on this week that could affect mortgage rates, good or bad, is the Fed's meeting today, and tomorrow they announce, if they're going to raise the overnight rate. The markets are kind of assuming maybe a 25% probability of a hike. And it's not really what the Fed does. A lot of it is the Q&A, what Kevin Warsh will say. He's the Fed president. So what he says has a big effect as much as what they do. So that can affect the markets good or bad tomorrow as well. So I think it's 9 or 10 a.m. our times when they announce it. And then any movement we see, good or bad, usually happens late morning to early afternoon. Let's cross our fingers that they don't do anything and they give positive news going forward, because the next time they meet is September. That'd be the next time the Fed can make a move that obviously can hurt mortgage rates. But bottom line is we have three straight days of good stuff. Tomorrow is a big move. Hopefully everything goes good. And we're here to help lock people in, give advice on what to do. And I'll pass it over to Bad News Bill. Unless you have questions, of course.
Where are rates going to be at in 30 days from now?
You always ask that question. I have no idea. I wish I knew. They're going to there are 3 ways: the same, better, or worse.
I'm putting together clips from every week of me asking where they're going to be at, and we're going to make
son of a bitch
a stitched video and see how accurate you were.
I'm going to blame AI and say that's not me. Hopefully, at some point when the Iran thing gets over, things normalize. I'm hoping we get back to where we were in March. But until the Iran thing's over and inflationary concerns are done, we're going to keep seeing this up and down that we've seen right now. And we did have to just kind of ride it out. Bill and I both, pay for rate lock advice service. So we're on top of it, kind of knowing when to lock, when to float, kind of what to anticipate. So the only thing is we try to stay ahead of the game for our clients and make decisions that hopefully they benefit from.
Bill, I think if you've been trying to talk, you're muted.
There we go. All right. You can hear me?
Yes. And the mustache is looking phenomenal.
Thank you. Yeah, I had a special party this weekend, so I decided to rock it.
Way better than TJ's.
A special party? What kind of special party requires a mustache, Bill?
It was my stepmother's birthday, and it was kind of a 70s theme. So,
okay, got it.
Yeah, I mean, she throws these crazy parties. It was they had synchronized swimmers. We'll just leave it at that. But
TJ, what's your excuse?
My excuse for my mustache?
Yeah.
I don't know, extremely good looks.
All right, sorry, Bill.
No worries. All right, so a few things that I've been thinking on, working on. So we'll start with the housing market, right? Like, I don't know how it feels for you guys. If it feels slow, if it feels busier. For me, it just feels a little bit weird. So I thought I would take a look and see what the kind of regional numbers are looking like month over month and year over year. And I mean, it turns out, home prices, or excuse me, this is sales. Sales are up all over Southern California, 2.3% year over year. it looks like down 1% month over month, but LA County has had a big surge, 8.6% month over month. San Bernardino County is up 5.3% year over year, 4.5% month over month. Riverside County is pretty flat. And San Diego County is up as well, 5.9% month year over year, excuse me. So, not much has changed apparently, so it's really a matter of just, keeping your head down and pushing forward. But, we're not going into some kind of a slump, so for your clients out there who are waiting to buy for prices to come down, good luck, throughout all of this, the war, the rates, everything is always crazy, right? Like, it feels like we're living in the craziest time ever right now, but the only reason it feels that way is because the news is in our face all the time, right? We're constantly getting updates. If you think about any other generation, there's always crazy stuff going on. So don't let that hold you back. Don't let the news get you down. Keep on pushing forward because there's business out there to be done. So that's my PSA. One thing that I've been working through on the loan end that I think is applicable is FHA single unit condo approval. So if you have a listing or you're working with a buyer and they want to buy a condo and they want to get an FHA loan, the simplest way is if the complex is already FHA approved. The HOAs have to go through a process to do this. It costs them money, so a lot of them don't do it. If you want to know whether or not they are approved, I mean, you can do a AI search for HUD. You're going to look for HUD approved condos. You can also find it online. But if it's not approved, they have what's called the single unit approval process. So I'm going through one of these right now, and it's been a weird file. At first, it looked like the place was a planned unit development, which doesn't require FHA approval. That's kind of like a community that has an HOA, but the HOA doesn't cover the exterior of the building or the roof or those kind of things. It's just covering a pool and the grounds around the area. So that's a planned unit development. But if it's condo, it does require the single unit approval. So I'm going through one, and it's actually going better than I expected. And there's a few things that you'll want to find out if you're looking into this for your client. So if you have a buyer, questions you need to ask. If you're working with a seller, I highly recommend, especially if it's kind of a entry-level condo, because a lot of entry-level people are going to want to get an FHA loan. So a few things to look at. The first test is going to be owner occupancy. So the FHA is going to require that at least 50% of the units are owner occupied. It's a little hard to figure that out. You have to reach out to the HOA. So especially if you're the listing agent, get as much of this information as you can up front. One of the things with FHA that I learned going through this is that they'll consider a unit owner occupied as long as the owner uses it part of the year. So if it's in, like this one I'm working on is in Palm Springs, and a lot of the people are not there all year. They rent it part of the year, but they're there more than they're renting it. So those count as owner occupied, which is not the case with a conventional loan. So that's one good thing that we figured out. You want to make sure there's no litigation in the building, and no pending repairs, no major repairs pending. If they see that those things are out there, they're going to want them resolved, or they're going to want more information. The budget is something that you'll want to look at. You definitely, if you have the listing, you want to order the condo document package right up front. Get that information as soon as you can, because there's stuff in there that might kill any deal, before it gets started, and it'll let you know whether or not you can even accept an offer with a loan. And if you want us to look at that for you, I'm happy to go over it. I've been kind of buried in this stuff right now, so I have a pretty good feel. But essentially on the budget, 10% of the money they collect for dues needs to go towards reserves, so building the reserve fund. They want 15% or less of the units to be more than 60 days past due on their HOA. So want to make sure people are paying their dues. And then the insurance is also a key piece. So the HOA is going to have what's called a master insurance policy, which covers the buildings. When you buy a condo, you might know you're going to get a policy that's called a walls-in policy, where it covers liability, it covers the theft, and then it covers everything inside the unit. So if the place burns down, the HOA's policy is going to rebuild the building, but your policy is going to be responsible for kind of getting everything back together on the inside. So the HOA's insurance policy needs to have a surety bond, which essentially is saying that if any of the employees for the HOA are stealing money or something, that there's insurance against that. And then the other key point is that you have to make sure that there's no line item on there for coverage that is actual cash value. So with an insurance policy, there's a couple of things, and this is important too if you're just on a home, right? And that this is for FHA, conventional, anything. If the insurance policy, it's really common, especially here, like up in Ventura County, Calabasas, those areas where they've had a ton of fires. The insurance companies don't want to insure the roof. So, or if the roof is a little bit older. So instead of giving what they call full replacement coverage, that's what you want to have. They'll give actual cash value, which means that they're going to give you a depreciated value for whatever it would have cost them to build the roof back 20 years ago when it was put on. So essentially, it's probably going to be 50% or less of the cost to rebuild the roof. So super important that the condo has replacement value. So that's, and then of course the balcony report as well. If it has balconies, they have a SB 326 report, which you guys are probably familiar with. So that's kind of a lot of guideline stuff, but I just wanted to throw it out there that, it is possible. We're moving really nicely on this one out in Palm Springs that we thought had no chance because of the occupancy status, and we're pushing through it. So that's pretty cool. And then I was going to go over one last thing we're working on. Sheila is on the call. Sheila Lemire. She referred me a lady recently who is trying to refinance her home. She got a construction loan. They didn't give her enough money to finish it. And she doesn't really have a job. Sure, she has no credit score. It's a pretty dire situation. At first, I'm like, this is hopeless. And what's that? Yeah, yeah.
I know it's pretty dire. I appreciate you so much.
Yeah. Well, we're want to help her find a solution, right? Of course, she's a super sweet lady, and she inherited this home, and she wants to. Her father had wanted her to keep it, fix it up, rent it out, so she always had some income coming in, and so she's determined to do that, even though she should probably sell it. But I told her that, but she's determined. So anyway, we have this program, and it's kind of cool. If for investment property, you don't need a credit score. You don't need it doesn't have to have a renter in there. It must be an investment property. No income documents, no job, nothing. I mean, it's a straight up, does this house have equity? So it's a maximum 50% loan to value ratio. So, it cannot go higher than 50% loan on the value. But as long as you're at 50% loan to value, they can get it done. So it also cannot be a foreclosure bailout. So if somebody has a notice of default on the property, then we can't help with that. They've got to get out of default before we can do anything. But this is by far.
Can I ask a question? If a home is worth $1 million,
mm-hmm.
and nobody owes anything on it,
yep.
What? And
they can borrow up to $500,000.
Wow, that's scary.
What are the rates on that?
The rates are not great. It's on this one, it's 9.35% with no credit score. 30 fixed, amortized. So, obviously not good, but the loan typically comes with a 5-year prepayment penalty, but you can buy that out. So it costs, to get it down to a 1-year prepayment penalty, it costs 1.5 points. So, on a $500,000 loan, that's $7,500 in points. And then we have to charge our fee up front as well. So it's not the cheapest loan, but for somebody who has no other options and they're determined to not sell that house with a lot of equity, it's there. And it could also be another, if you have a seller who has a house like this that, you know, they inherit something, but they don't have any money, they don't have a job, and maybe they want to get the place fixed up before it hits the market. This would be another way to do that without you know, just having to sell a beaten up house for, you know, pennies on the dollar.
May I ask a question about that too? And, you know, I appreciate you so much for helping her because she was a referral from a friend of mine. And I've really never dealt with somebody who doesn't have a credit score. Like I just had never really heard of anything like that. But she owns her own house almost free and clear also. And this was an inherited house. And when I first spoke with her, she was going to rent it out. Had she rented it out like she planned and had gotten good income, would that have changed the dynamics of the loan as far as the rate and things?
Not with because she doesn't have a credit score, it would have been the same difference. So, and the way we're handling the underwriting, you know, she's telling me, I haven't seen the house. I don't know if you have, but we're waiting on the appraisal, but she's telling me that the house is fully remodeled except for one room, like a bonus room that needs, you know, it's livable, which is good. That's important. But, you know, it just has a bunch of stuff stored in there. So if she's saying basically she would like to get an extra like $15,000-$20,000 to finish up that room, finish the landscaping, and then rent it so she can get top of market for it. So, but she did say, like, if I need to get a tenant in there, and I believe I think your friend is probably the property manager, right? She said that she had a property manager who could get some people in there. There's, you know, so we'll see. It's still in the works, but so far we're moving right along on that one too. And I think it's always going to be a little tricky when you have somebody who's in that kind of a situation. So, you know, we'll see how smooth this runs, but so far so good.
Thanks again. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that kind of ties into what we always say, like, no matter the situation, give Bill or Tim a call. I've never heard of that type of program before. And then they know better than we do. So usually if you're talking to a seller and they just want to get a cash offer, or they want to, they don't have the money to maybe fix up a house, but they inherited it. I think that's a great option to have. So thanks for doing that, Bill.
Yeah, you bet. And I mean, I'm not going to lie, it fell out of the sky. Like this, I literally got a phone call from this lender as this was going on. But things tend to happen like that, you know, when you have something out there in the ether, like, you know, it starts coming around. So
I have a question as well. Would you say, you know, based on all the programs out there and this one coming out or this new one, would you say that's kind of maybe the best route for, let's say, a retiree who doesn't have a lot of income anymore? Like, you know, they just have Social Security. They have a lot of equity and they want to take out a loan, but then, you know, they don't qualify based on their debt to income ratio, traditional loan.
No, definitely not. With the interest rate being so high on that loan, you know, I would not recommend that for somebody who's retired on a fixed income. I mean, if they need to do something like that to improve their credit before they can do something else, then maybe. But it's also only for investment property. For somebody who's on a fixed income and truly, you know, needs all of that money that they have coming in to buy their groceries and feed themselves, I strongly recommend considering a reverse mortgage. People are, you know, there's a lot of kind of negative vibes out there about reverse mortgages, but I've done a ton of them and they're like lifesavers for people who need them. So, you know, somebody who's living on $4,000 a month, you know, they might have a ton of equity in their house, but if the car breaks down or maybe even less than that, I mean, I see people on like $2,000 a month or $2,500 a month. So in that case, the reverse mortgage can work in a number of ways. They can take a lump sum of cash when they close the loan. They can set it up where there's just a credit line. So maybe they, let's just say they owe $100,000 on their house. It's worth $1 million. They'll pay off that $100,000 loan, and then they'll give them a line of credit for maybe $300,000 or $400,000, and they can draw on that money. It's like a home equity line of credit, so you don't pay interest on it unless you use it. But if you need it, it's there to draw on. And it's a security, it's a safety net basically. And the way the reverse mortgage works, they call it reverse because instead of a forward mortgage where you make your payment and the balance goes down, on the reverse mortgage, you're not required to make a payment. So the interest that accumulates that month that you would normally be sending in with your monthly payment just gets added onto the balance of the loan. So you're not having to pay anything out of pocket every month. And one thing that I do with a lot of reverse mortgage folks as well is if they're concerned about their equity and concerned about how much they're going to be able to leave to their family, how much equity will be in the house when they pass on, all of that, we set people up where they're making payments on the reverse mortgage. So in some cases, it's like, I can afford to pay $2,000 a month, but I need $100,000 to fix my roof and get the house fixed up. So maybe the monthly interest on the loan is $2,500 a month. Well, they can still pay $2,000 a month, and they're only adding $500 a month to their loan balance, and so the loan is growing slower. And the other thing to keep in mind is that home prices appreciate, like we were just talking about. The values go up. So a lot of times on a reverse mortgage, you'll find, maybe not so much in the market we are right now with the rates where they're at, but when rates are a little bit better, a lot of times the amount of money that gets built up on the loan keeps pace with the inflation the appreciation on the house. So maybe they start with $500,000 of equity. A lot of times after 15 years, they might still have $500,000 in equity because the property value has gone up, even though the loan balance has ballooned. So that's a very long answer to explain it, but it's certainly worth considering for somebody who's in that situation.
Got it. Thank you. No, I appreciate all that info.
Bill, quick question for you. This is more relevant for our California agents, but we have a couple that are actively applying for or using the Cal-HFA. What is it? Dream For All, the down payment assistance program.
Yeah.
Do you know about that? Can you talk about what that is? It seems like a great program, number one. I think Tyler and his family member are using that as well or applied for it. What is that program, and is it a lottery system, or what are the approved lenders that you have to go through? Do you have any idea on that?
It is a lottery system. I have not closed one. I've talked with a number of people who have applied for it. So only a certain number of folks get it. But the way it works is that the state will give you 20% for your down payment, and instead of collecting a monthly payment on that, they share in the equity that's built in the house. So say it's $100,000 that they give you for the down payment. We call it $1 million house to make it easy. If the home, let's say after 2 years, the $1 million house is now worth $1.1 million, and you're ready to refinance the house or sell the house. So at that point, you're going to be paying off that $200,000 on the Dream For All. And maybe it's only if you sell. I guess it's
if you sell.
Yeah, it's only. I guess it's only if you sell the house. That's when they take their cut. And I don't know if you can refinance the first loan. Honestly, like I said, I've never done one before. But basically, they take a 20% equity share in the house. So if the house goes up by 10%, the $200,000 they've given you is now going to be paid back at $220,000. That's my understanding of it. But if somebody has one, we can certainly dive deeper and make sure we have a lender who can work with it. I know there's some other stipulations on it too. I think it has to be used within a certain time frame, maybe.
We do have lenders too. Kind Lending does it. Blue Point does it. So we have some lenders under our thing that they can do it. So, but they are really tough to do. We do also have the DP down payment assistance program, which is still 0% down. So if someone can't get into the Dream For All, we can still do a 0% down loan for people, and also a loan with a credit for closing costs. So that's the main reason why someone's looking at that kind of program. There are ways we can still finance them with no money down and cover a good part of their closing costs if they can't fit in the Dream For All.
Yeah. Cal-HFA is one of those. the Dream For All is one of their programs, but they have another just regular down payment assistance program. And then we have a bunch of other down payment assistance programs too that are lender specific. So that stuff is out there. I mean, you just have to be aware that the rate is going to be higher on those loans, no matter which one you go with.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions for Bill or Tim? Sweet. All right. Today I wanted to kind of run through a few of the latest updates for Link.ai, go over, I guess, my top like 3 or 4 use cases for it. Kind of walk you guys through a little step by step, get some of your guys' feedback on how it has been to use, and then have a couple questions for you guys just in general on some of the next features you guys would like to see on it. So trying to get your guys' feedback to build out the next steps of it. So before I jump into it, has anybody been using it and using it well, and or have any good or bad feedback with it? Sweet. All right.
I've been not like in actual, but been trying to figure it all out, and I feel like it's pretty intuitive actually. I think it's really kind of easy to use when you have a plan of what you want to do, which I appreciate. And trying to get a listing out there, that kind of thing. I think it's really, really wonderful with that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the feedback. Yeah, we're trying to make it as straightforward as possible so that if you guys have a seller, go click on the seller and then pick what to do with it, and whatnot. So that's good to hear. Andrew, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Sweet. So as I just mentioned, trying to kind of break it up into big categories. You have sellers, you have buyers, promotion are really the 3, I guess, main buckets that all of the features are going to fall into. So what do you do when you have a seller? What do you do when you have a buyer? And what do you do if you want to promote? That's more generally speaking. So whether that's promoting a listing, promoting yourself, trying to get leads in general, that's all going to fall into the promote tab. And then the all tools is just going to be the catch-all for kind of anything and everything. And breaking those couple big buckets down, there's 2 main routes as well. So there's getting leads and then promoting either your listing, promoting stuff to buyers you currently have. There's a lead side and a client side. So taking those 2 different categories within each bucket, all that will make, I think, a little bit more sense in a second. But the main tools I think agents will be using both for sellers and buyers are going to be the listing presentation, buyer tours, home valuation drip, and saved searches. And so I wanted to just kind of walk you guys through how to do those 4 things, and then briefly touch on the ads and funnels side of stuff. But these were the biggest kind of like time savers we think we had. Once again, we are currently using this on everything we were telling you about. So I'll tell you a couple of the things we've been using and how it's paid off for us. But the first and most important one that we've been using most, listing presentations. And so if you guys come into the sellers tab, you can see there's presentations, there's valuations, there's net sheets, and there's listings. These are the 4 main tabs under the seller section. To create a listing presentation, I would first go into your guys' settings tab down here in the bottom left. And some of the stuff you could populate beforehand. And so making sure your profile is all the way filled out with your information, with title, with your brokerage name and or your team name. And then going into the showcase tab, throwing in a couple of client testimonials, throwing in some recently sold and or active listings that you have, throwing in some of your team stats. If you don't have any of this stuff, just use some of Link's recently sold properties, use some of Link's case studies, use some of Link's testimonials, use Link stats. You could text Krems and get any of the information on any of this, just to make sure your presentation shows well. When we go and we look at, we're talking to a seller potentially, and we're looking through some of the other listing presentations they have there. 8 or 9 times out of 10, if it's a newer agent, they're only using like Compass's stats. They're only using their team stats. It's not necessarily just I'm this agent and this is how well I'm doing in this area. Rely on us as a brokerage, rely on us as a team. If you guys need testimonials, if you need listings, if you need stats, case studies, stuff like that, let us know. We'll help you kind of build this out. We just added a shareable link feature on the listing presentations as well. So we could actually just collaborate with you directly in the listing presentation and help you create some of the stuff just to help improve your guys' experience with it. So you could text Krems and they could actually create the listing presentation for you, share it with you, and then you can go in there and use it. I'm going to show you in a second, but making sure that this is all populated as well on the showcase tab. If you do some case studies, you can upload the photos that you want for it. And then once those two, your profile and showcase, are kind of filled out, if you come to the sellers tab, click new presentation, you just type in the address for it and or the APN number. It will pull from public record all of the information. You can kind of confirm that it's all correct. And then lot size, you throw in your proposed list price and click create, and then it will go ahead and kind of create the presentation for you. Obviously, everything is editable. And if you come up here and click the edit tab, you could change any of the pages that you want. What it gives you at a base is cover page, property overview page, breaking down all of the property information, quick map view of it. It'll go in and pull just random comparables that it thinks. This isn't 100% perfect yet. So we're working on having it pull better comps to start. It'll give you the agent remarks, sale highlights tied to what you have put into your showcase, team stats based on what you put into your team stats, and just an inquire page here at the end. And then whatever person you have as the user on the account, it'll show their information. Everything could obviously be edited. Most of these have stock image generators within it. And so if you want to change out any of the photos to be more of like the area you are currently in, you could obviously go in here and do that. So to add additional pages, if you come in here, click the edit button. The two that we use the most. What was that? The two pages that we use the most that aren't just pre-populated are going to be the marketing page. And so clicking on here on the marketing, you can see where it says hidden from presentation. You want to show it, and it will show the 5-step marketing plan. And so this will automatically tied into your listing presentation. Talks about what we do on most listings. It's the professional marketing, circle prospecting, meta ads, Google ads, open houses. Once again, you could edit any of this. So if you want to change it to the 4-step marketing plan and you want to get rid of open houses because the person doesn't want to sit open houses, then you could make it to your 4-step marketing plan. Make it kind of tailored to what you're actually going to do. Obviously, you don't want to go out there and tell a seller you're going to run Google ads and meta ads and circle prospect and then not do any of that stuff. So still personalize it to you, but it's there kind of as a base, as a template. And then also the client remarks or client programs. If you come in here, click show here, it'll talk about the highest price guaranteed. Yes.
Test.
Highest price guaranteed, bundle and save, seller incentive escrow program, and buy before you sell. Once again, you can kind of pick and choose what you want here, customize it to whatever you want it to be called, like links, client programs. If you don't want to offer the highest price guaranteed, you come here and just delete this stuff out. And then most importantly is obviously the comps page, in my opinion, and that, and as well as agent remarks. If you come into the comps page, click edit, this has a full MLS integration with it. So I'm not going to use these comps that it said. I'll just go in here, I'll delete them all. And then you could either add the comparable properties by property address, MLS number, or you could add an off market one if it's not pulling in the MLS for some reason. And so I'll come in here based on the address. It's going to pull all of the recent sales in the area. And then you can kind of just pick and choose what you want. So I know this one's right down the street. This one's a street over, and it's not really a comp. This one's a good comp, and maybe this one. So those are the 3 main comps I want to use. Just click add to CMA. It'll populate everything for you, give you your new averages. If you don't think maybe the lot size is a huge selling point, or your price per square foot is kind of high and you don't really want to show that, you can get rid of any of these columns, add other ones, whatever you think is going to really sell the property itself. If it's condos versus single family, you want to showcase that. You could pick any of the columns you want to add. Once your listing presentation is done, obviously you can change photos, like I said. All you do is click share, and you could either send them a link to view the link. You could download it as a PDF, or you could share it with another agent. So say I want Andrew to be able to come in here and work on this with me. I just type in Andrew, send it to him, and now he could jump in, add his own tweaks to it if he wants. But that was a couple minute listing presentation. We used it, I think, 2 weeks ago, not on this property, but Craig was heading to a listing appointment and texted me at 9:55 and said, "Hey, I have a meeting at 10. Can you create a listing presentation for me?" And I had it over to him by 9:59. So being able to just create them in a couple minutes, it's just clicking new presentation, throwing some comps in, and then we always write our own remarks, but this will give you kind of a AI version of the agent remarks to start with. And
Kobe, let me jump in here really quick on this. Actually, one thing I think we should do, maybe for all the agents that are on, at the end of every Tuesday training, maybe we should dive deeper into one feature and show everyone how it works, just like you're doing right now, just so you're not breezing through everything and we're actually focusing on one feature. And if you guys are interested in that, can test it out, that would be really helpful. And I think it's going to really benefit everyone here because Kobe and I are using this on a daily basis. I want to say, outside of saving us time and being more professional in a listing presentation, like what this has done, I think has really helped us secure business. Like Kobe was saying, we didn't use this actual presentation yet because it was, a few weeks ago and it wasn't fully ready, but it was the concept that we used that actually got us the listing. It's showcasing what you're going to do as an agent outside of just plugging it into the MLS. Like giving someone or a potential seller something tangible or a digital file, whatever it is, to look at. Here's what I'm going to do outside of just plugging this in the MLS. This is what sets me apart from other agents. And this is what either I or my team has done in the area. Obviously, everyone knows how listing presentations work, but everything here is just streamlined for you. Come in here and play with it, create your own case studies, create your own showcase, just play around with it and see how it works. But something like this, I think, really goes a long way in a presentation, even if someone is not asking for it. It's something that you can show that, hey, look at all this work that I've done, front end before I'm even having a real conversation with you, just putting this in your inbox for your information. Obviously, it's all case by case, so you don't need to just blast these out to people. But this has saved us a lot of time, and it really consolidates everything that Kobe and I do as agents that set us apart. And it's just a good way to present it to your sellers. So, this Encino deal we're working on, this helped us get that listing. This Carlsbad listing that we're working on, it helped us get it. So just it's what we think works, and we'd love your guys' feedback on it, just in terms of like the user interface, the usability of it in general. But we think this can really save you guys time and give you that upper hand when it comes down to competing for a listing. I just talked to Sue about this the other day. She was asking about the circle prospecting aspect. I want to touch on that because it's a huge part of what we do as agents, and I think a really impressive thing that you can set yourself apart in those presentations. Circle prospecting, everyone I think has an idea of what it is, but it really does maximize exposure on listings. This is what this Carlsbad seller was really drawn to when we were pitching to him. It maximizes exposure on the listing. He was a big data guy. He wanted to see, what kind of metrics are we tracking? What kind of exposure or outreach like strategies do we have in place? Circle prospecting is a huge thing right now, at least for Kobe and myself. A lot of great feedback on it. Again, it's secured us these listings that we're working on. But what we do is actually we target agents and local owners. There's two different categories, agents and local owners. When I sit down with the seller and I tell him we are going to bring the listing to people, not wait for them to come to us, that is things that they love to hear. We're going to target 100 agents that have represented a buyer in this price range in this zip code in the past 12 months. And they're going to be notified of the listing before it hits the market. They're going to be notified when it hits the market, when we have open houses, when we have price adjustments, anything and everything. That is what circle prospecting is. You're getting in front, or you're getting the listing in front of people before they even see it. You're bringing the listing to them, not waiting for them to come to the listing. That has been a huge thing that's gotten great feedback during our presentations. And also local owners, right? Kobe and I have sold a property from circle prospecting to local owners because that owner wasn't necessarily looking on the market at that time, but he saw our marketing through our circle prospecting and he ended up closing on that. So there's really, there's success stories here that where this actually works. And it gives you the opportunity to double end, to meet local owners, to, see who's in the neighborhood, that kind of thing. So circle prospecting is key, guys. I think it's something that I would really emphasize in these listing presentations. It helps not only you get the listing, but it also maximizes exposure on it.
Andrew, can you guys maybe take some time to teach us exactly the steps on how to circle prospect?
Yes. And
Okay.
why don't we, Kobe, we should do circle prospecting next week and
Okay.
just what that all is. But from a high level, Chris, basically we pull agent information from the MLS. We look at who has sold a property in X price range in the past 12 months in the Oceanside zip code. And it could be 50, it could be 200, depending on how active that market is. So all these agents are clearly producers. They clearly represented a buyer, meaning they likely or potentially have a buyer in their pocket. And so we pull those 100 agents and they're getting a curated text that is informing them of a listing coming up. And like I was mentioning, every other milestone or update that you want to give, it gets in front of them. It fills your open houses a little bit more. It definitely like helps with just the exposure side of things. So that's number one. Number two, we use Property Radar. It's a software that we pay for, which is free to you guys. So if you wanted to pull contacts, but we'll pull contacts of local owners. So it's the 50 neighbors in a certain complex, or it's, 100 neighbors on X streets that you want to target. And we're texting them about a new listing coming up. It's harmless. Like we get fewer bad responses from that, but it's still something that people do. Sending out text messages to owners. It's not always going to be the most well received, but just know that we have fewer bad responses and more positive responses by giving owners something of value. And that's like, hey, there's something coming up in your neighborhood. If you have any questions or if you know of anyone who might be looking to move in your neighborhood, please let us know. It's really just bringing value, bringing information to owners. These owners are going to be curious. I mean, you're going to get probably a lot of nosy neighbors that come to your open house. They want to see what the layout looks like. They want to see why the price is justified. Also, owners love to see, homes that are listed higher than theirs. So it inflates their property value. But yeah, so targeting the owners, targeting the agents, we get those from two different sources, the MLS and a software called Property Radar, and it's all hyper targeted. So we're targeting specific people, demographics, based off of location or based off of production as an agent.
So obviously we need your help with this, right? So as an agent, I would what email do I need to send to you so that you could do Property Radar well
So
for
Do you
my,
want to yeah, you want to
yes,
show it right now?
inside of Link.ai. So what we wanted to do as well. So the 5-step marketing plan, we can't go out and take photos for you guys, obviously. So you're going to take your professional marketing, and we can't do the open houses for you. But the other three things with Meta ads, Google ads, and circle prospecting are all features within Link.ai now. So
okay.
if you want to pull a list, you come into the promote tab and you can just click circle prospecting. And then you will say, I want to use circle prospecting for advertise a new listing, advertise a price drop, or advertise at open house. So say I want to advertise a new listing. I would click that. I want to reach out to local homeowners or other active agents, or both. Pick, you want full names, phone numbers, emails, and addresses. Maybe you're only going to text people. So you just need their name and phone number, whatever it is. Just click the tabs, type in the address you will be using it for, and then how many records you want. And then you just click submit request, and our team will go pull that list for you and send it to you. And that's it. So instead of having to go send a text or email or figure out where to pull the list from, anytime you want a list, you just come in here and request it directly on link.ai.
And then a step further, Chris, is we're using GHL for this, the CRM that we provide. If you use another CRM, we can also help you like upload that list into the CRM. But For right now, because it's kind of like in the preliminary stages here, like if you guys want hands-on help with all of that, that's where Dylan comes into play, Kobe comes into play. We can help you set this all up in your GHL and give you templates for text and that kind of thing. It's fairly simple. Like if you're advertising a new listing or open house, you look at one of our templates and you can recreate that every time. But this all goes through your CRM. So you're not actually circle prospecting in Link.ai. You're just requesting it. And then from there, everything gets set up in your CRM, your Go High Level account.
And or you guys can do it from your personal numbers as well. So just because we can do it through GHL doesn't mean you guys have to do it. On some of them, we'll go in and we'll text the neighbors just from our personal cell, or we'll call all of the neighbors or call the other agents or text other agents. We'll be able to provide you guys obviously with the data. And then if your CRM is set up correctly and you have your A2P set up and everything's done, then we can go and have the text actually flow out of GHL and it's a bit more automated. But also, if you want to connect with some of the neighbors, you want to connect with some of the other agents, you could just take this list that we send you guys and go through and call them and go through and text them just off your personal cell as well. So, and or do flyers with it or postcards with it. You can do kind of whatever you want with the list once you get it. Like Andrew said, this is just kind of requesting it here.
Yeah, let me rephrase that. It depends on the scale that you're doing it at. Like Kobe and I, for some of these listings, there's 500 people that we want to reach out to. That's where GHL, obviously, you're gonna want to do it there. You can automate it. It can blast those out, in a second. So depending on the scale, but we've also had listings where it's like, look, there's only 6 other homes in this complex or something. We're gonna pick up the phone and call these people directly. So we don't need to use GHL. It's coming from our personal number, or maybe there's only 20 agents that have represented a buyer in this price range in this zip code. If it's smaller scale, we encourage you to use your own number. It comes off, a little bit more personal. It comes off, it just it looks a little bit better just coming directly from you. But yeah, it all depends. But for right now, just requesting those lists and having them, that's what we do right before a listing goes live. We make sure that the people that we think would be even potentially or remotely interested know about this listing before it hits the market. It's a big part of our sales pitch. And it's a big part of what we do for our listings. I also hope that answered Blake's question. So all of this is in Link.ai, Blake. Like I was just mentioning, you're just requesting this. And then if you wanted to send this out automated at scale, it's through Go High Level. If you can do it, manually, personally, because there's fewer contacts, then just use your cell phone or your email.
So if we do this request through here, do we then just get the list of contacts, or does the actual mass text or mass email go out?
So
it can be either. So you guys will get the list no matter what. Somebody from the team will reach out to you and say, hey, I see you have your CRM already set up. Do you want us to send the text? If so, what do you want us to send? And then go into your actual CRM and do it. Or if you want to do it yourself, when they reach out, you could just say, just give me the list.
Okay.
What I would recommend, guys, if you aren't set up with circle prospecting in your CRM, do that now. Like work with Dylan right after this call, send him a message, or do that, a month before your next listing. That way you're all set up and ready to go just in case you want to do it automated through your CRM. So if you aren't set up, there are some things we have to do on the back end through your CRM to make sure that it can support this. Do that in advance so that you can pump that out when you have that listing.
Yeah, it takes a few days to get, there's like a thing called A2P registration. So to allow your new phone number inside your Go High Level account to send text, it has to be A2P verified. It sometimes takes 2 days, sometimes it takes 12 days. It's really out of our hands. It's a regulatory body that kind of governs it. So if you guys don't have A2P set up, if you don't have your GHL set up, if you have no idea what we're talking about when we say GHL and whatnot, like jump on a call with me, jump on a call with Dylan, with Tyler, with Andrew, with somebody, and we'll get your guys' accounts set up. What we typically see is somebody comes in and they're like, hey, I have a new listing. Can we send out this circle prospecting? And it's like, oh, do you have your GHL account set up? They're like, oh, no, we didn't think we needed it. And then so it's going to take a few days. And then sometimes that's too late or we're trying to put a Band-Aid solution on it. So if you are interested in some of this stuff, get on with us, text Krems and jump on a call, and we'll make sure your GHL is set up, your A2P is set up. Usually when you guys were onboarding, that was one of the selections was I want a CRM and I want to be able to text and email out of it. So if plans change and you guys now want that capability, we'll go ahead and make sure you're all set up correctly.
Can I It's a
Guys,
simple question,
Yes.
bringing it back to simplicity. Would you say that you use this more to get listings, or would you say that you use all of this, the texting, to let people know, hey, I have this listing coming, and or oh, this just went to market all the neighbors. Which way are you using it most?
Sue,
Yeah.
oh no, I'm sorry. Finish your question. Apologize.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's absolutely both. Like it helps us get the listings for sure because it shows what we do above and beyond that other agents, we don't think other agents are doing. So that's number one. But number two, it does maximize exposure. I mean, we can definitely tie like plenty of showings that have come just from our circle prospecting. We can tie a closed deal that has come from our circle prospecting. It does help with the exposure and the likelihood of closing or the quickness of closing. So it's both, honestly. It helps in the front end to get the listing, and it helps with the actual listing. And it's something that we just will always do because it takes a shorter amount of time. We're making this quicker and quicker, making it easier for you guys. So it definitely is for both.
Okay, I just want to add one last little thing because I want to thank you, Andrew, for prospecting. I would say that I learned a lesson. My clients are pretty naive. Like I'm not sure, really know what I'll say, technology very well. And so once I realized that, I mentioned some of it and talked about it, but I didn't go too in depth into it. And that was just a good learning lesson for me. I mean, I try to always focus on like who I am and how I pick my phone up and the services I provide. And I'm glad that for my more tech savvy people, I'll be able to have this option, but it wasn't these clients this past week.
Absolutely. No, so it is case by case as well. We just want to add more tools to our agent's belt. And also, I think the seller demographic is likely becoming more tech savvy over time. You're probably working with younger sellers that are familiar with these kinds of things, like with ads, Google ads, Meta ads. So it's just more tools under the belt. Kobe and I have a client that we taught how to use DocuSign last year. He's in his mid 70s, late 70s, and none of this means anything to him. And so we're not going to sit down and overwhelm him with this information. It's all case by case. You sit down, if they're a little bit more tech savvy, like I'll just give an example. This listing in Carlsbad that we got, this guy was grilling us on metrics, on Google ads, on performance and engagement. And we had to have our answers ready or else we wouldn't have gotten that listing. And we use Link.ai and what we do here to get it. But he's the exact demographic that this is going to really work for. And also people, slightly below him in between. But I would never use this for an old school traditional seller that doesn't care, that wants to work with us as people, not based off of the tools we have. But I do think more and more commonly, sellers are asking, what are you going to do outside of just who you are and plugging into the MLS? We've seen both ends of it, both ends of the extreme, and Link.ai probably fits right in the middle all the way to the higher end of the extreme, the more tech savvy sellers.
Yes.
I have one last question in regards to submitting a request for circle prospecting, just so I know what to look for after. It will be an email that we receive?
Yes.
And it will be from like link.ai, or what do we search? Or
It will be from like support@linkbrokerages.com.
Okay, got it.
And if there's a text that comes, it'll come from the Krems line.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yes. And I think, Sue, to your kind of point, this was something I was going to touch on at the end, but all of this is not meant to replace the face-to-face, the personal element of it. I wanted to use two kind of quick examples of stuff that's happened to us over the last couple of days. So we did, for that Carlsbad listing, open houses both weekends or both days of this past weekend. We used circle prospecting to reach out to local owners and to local agents to invite them to that open house. Had like 12 or 15 groups come in over the weekend, met two really solid buyer groups through it, met a ton of local agents that wanted to come by and like, hey, I saw your text, didn't know you guys were going to be hosting an open house. We had a couple neighbors come in that are considering a sale. They want to just kind of learn about the market, see how activity was going. We have a listing presentation with one of them next week. And once again, they weren't on the market, they weren't on Zillow, they weren't looking for what was coming. But by directly reaching out to them and inviting them to the open house, I got them out of the door, got them over to our house, and at least opened up that conversation. Um, you still 100% need to do open houses. You still need to do the face to face. You still need to be out there talking real estate. This is more just trying to amplify that. And if you can get a couple extra conversations through it, then it's worth everything. So open houses. And then on the circle prospecting side, yesterday we had a free like 2 hours. I was up in the Orange County area. So I went and I kind of door knocked around a new listing we have in Huntington Harbor. And I texted Krems and I said, hey, give me an open house flyer. They sent me a flyer within 30 minutes, got it printed at the local UPS store, went and knocked and talked to like 30 neighbors around a new listing we had. A guy actually called me this morning and it's like, hey, sorry, it looks like you probably tried to stop by yesterday. I saw your flyer. I have a buddy who's been looking to move to Coral Cay for a while, wants a single story home. I'm just sent it to him. Can we come by and check it out this week? So just by doing the little things, like you don't need to be an amazing salesperson to go out and talk to neighbors, and or to notify them, hey, I have an open house coming up this weekend. If you have anybody that might be interested, would love to have you swing by. If not, you can come just check out the house. Like that isn't something that's hard to do. It just takes time to do. And so as great as Link.ai is, I think, and all the great tools that are there, it's really meant to amplify what you're supposed to be doing as an agent already. So if you can automate some of it, if you could make it a little bit easier on yourself, you don't need to go out and learn how to run Google ads and run meta ads, but that's something you should be doing. And so if Link.ai could run the Google ads for you so that you could spend more time being out face to face with clients or with leads or at your open houses, or you can improve the amount of people that are coming to your open houses. That's really what it's meant for. So through all of this, I want to really emphasize this is not going to get you that next closed deal. It's going to get you that next lead that you might be able to put onto a drip campaign that might be able to nurture a little bit more or get somebody to come to your open house that you're going to be talking to the person. They're going to be sold on you. So by no means do we want you guys to think, oh, I can click like 3 buttons and then I have 12 closes coming up. Not the case at all. You still need to do those things that take no talent, but really are going to separate you from being a good agent. So, yeah.
Bravo. I love what you guys are doing. It's great.
I appreciate that, Sue. Yeah, guys, just to, I guess, pull all this back in, like this is what Kobe and I have been using and doing for years, but just put into a platform that makes it easier. Like before this, Kobe and I were manually doing a lot of this stuff, spending hours on listing presentations, spending hours on circle prospecting, on all of this stuff, all these features that we have here. Really, this is just, here are the tools that we think make us better when we sit down with a client, and it's put into one place for you, it's streamlined for you and made it easy. This is not supposed to replace you, like Kobe's saying. It's not supposed to do anything other than give you that extra assistance. And if you guys can learn more about like circle prospecting and meta and Google ads through this, it's another tool in your belt when you get grilled with that listing presentation. What are you going to do outside of just plugging it in the MLS? Like, this is your answer. That question is coming up more and more commonly for us. What do you like? Why you guys? Outside of us, like we already have a foot in the door. Thankfully, if we made a good impression, we have a foot in the door. Finally, we sit down with them. They want to know what makes you different. And hopefully you guys can retain some of this. Hopefully you're already doing this and this is part of your pitch now, just in case you do get grilled in that way.
Yeah. I like Andrew's idea of kind of tacking this on to the back end of meetings and not trying to go through too many at once. But Google ads, meta ads, these are all kind of big, important pieces of it. So I don't want to just breeze over them. Maybe next week we'll go over how to promote on Google with the Google ads, on meta ads, outside of circle prospecting. What are some of the other features of this? So, yeah, we're past an hour now, so I don't want to take up too much of your guys' time, but any questions for anybody?
Just
Sweet.
one on the real quick, just one on the flip side when we go over to circle prospecting, anything like that. Can we talk about like maybe next week the flip side of once the home is sold, how can we use circle prospecting and things like that to now get our next lead?
Yeah, we can definitely talk about that. And it's all the same process, right? You have those same contacts. You're going to let them know of the closing. You're going to tell them the highlights, I don't know, how efficient it was, the price it sold at, that kind of thing. From there, you can follow up with anyone who's giving you good engagement. You put them on a home valuation drip, all through Link.ai. Here's what we think your home is worth. Now, with this recent comp, your home has increased X percentage. They're getting monthly updates. TJ, you just closed the deal. You should, explore doing this. We can talk about this next week. Just letting all these neighbors know about this closing and turning that into an effortless way of staying engaged with them, where they can actually interact, and you can view when they look at this home valuation. You can see the kind of trail of engagement from each person. If John Smith is looking at this once a month, clicking around, he's worth calling. He's worth potentially trying to sit down with and see if he has any questions, that kind of thing. So yeah, it goes beyond getting listings, closing listings. It also carries over into securing more business down the line, getting in front of sellers in ways that you haven't been able to in the past. So we can talk about that next week.
Do you guys ever do like direct mailings, like actual mailings? Do you do EDDM, the every door direct mailings?
We have in the past, and once again, like yesterday, we went and I just dropped actual flyers like on door handles. Um, we usually just do the text and emails, and it depends, I guess, kind of on area as well. So we've done a kind of combination of both. Typically, it's just text and emails and calls.
Yeah, Chris, I think with that, it's definitely more personal, and it's like a tangible thing that homeowner has in front of them. But what I think is just going to become more and more, I would think, just easier over time is just the scale that you can do it at with text and all digital. I know that there's going to be a point where like the physical mailer is going to still have its value, and like maybe we veer back to like physical marketing being more effective. But for right now, like depending on how busy you are, you're going to want to be able to touch as many contacts as possible, right? And that's through the text and the calls. You don't have to physically be present. You can pay a company to do like what looks like a handwritten letter to that local owner or whatever it is. We think those are great, but this is just kind of like the digital tools that we can provide for you. Maybe on top of that, if you're getting a flyer and a text from this person consistently, multiple touch points is usually better.
And it's way cheaper.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Sweet. I have to run, so I'm going to be ending the meeting. But thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Have a great
Happy
week.
Tuesday.
Talk to you soon.
Have a good week, everybody.
Bye.